The massive diplomatic station orbiting the neutral moon of Kepler 442b hummed with tension. Representatives from 12 different species had gathered for what many considered the most important peace talks in galactic history. The Zephyrian Empire and the Crystalline Confederacy had been locked in a brutal war for over 3 decades, and this meeting represented the last hope for ending the bloodshed that had consumed entire star systems. Ambassador Thirak Zul of the Draconic Republic stood nearly 12 feet tall when upright, her emerald scales gleaming under the artificial lighting of the diplomatic chamber. As the chosen mediator between the warring factions, she carried the hopes of billions on her powerful shoulders. The Draconics had maintained neutrality throughout the conflict, their ancient wisdom and diplomatic prowess making them ideal peacekeepers. But today, everything had gone catastrophically wrong. The assassination attempt had been swift and merciless. A plasma bomb, hidden within what appeared to be a ceremonial gift from the Zephyrian delegation, had detonated just as Thirak Zul reached for it. The explosion had been precisely calculated, not to kill, but to cripple. The neural disruptor embedded in the device had severed the connection between her mighty brain and her powerful body, leaving her conscious but completely paralyzed from the neck down. As emergency medical teams swarmed around her massive form, Thirak Zul's golden eyes darted frantically between the assembled delegates. She could hear everything, understand every word, but she couldn't speak, couldn't move, couldn't fulfill her crucial role as mediator. The peace talks were collapsing in real time as accusations flew between the Zephyrian and Crystalline delegations. "This is clearly an act of war," screeched Ambassador Vextar, the insectoid representative of the Crystalline Confederacy, his crystalline exoskeleton flashing angry red patterns. "The Zephyrians have shown their true colors." General Korath of the Zephyrian Empire slammed his 4 massive fists on the conference table, his thick gray hide rippling with barely contained rage. "How dare you accuse us? This is obviously your doing. Eliminate the mediator and blame us for the failure of peace." The medical team leader, a pale blue Aquarian named Dr. Reeftal, spoke in hushed tones to the assembled diplomats. "The neural pathways have been completely severed by quantum disruption technology. Even with our most advanced medical facilities, restoration would take months if it's possible at all. Ambassador Thirak Zul is effectively locked in her own body." The implications hit everyone simultaneously. Without Thirak Zul's guidance, the peace talks would collapse within hours. Both sides had agreed to her mediation only after extensive negotiations, and finding another acceptable mediator would take weeks, time they didn't have. Intelligence reports indicated that both empires were massing fleets for what could be the final, devastating battle of the war. As the chamber erupted into chaos, with delegates shouting accusations and threats, a small figure stepped forward from the human observer section. Captain Marcus Chen, a weathered veteran of humanity's own recent conflicts, had been present only as a courtesy. Humans were relatively new to galactic politics and held little sway in such matters. Marcus stood barely 6 feet tall, unremarkable among the towering aliens surrounding him. His dark hair was streaked with premature gray, and a long scar ran from his left temple to his jaw, a souvenir from the Battle of Proxima Station. Most of the delegates barely acknowledged his presence, viewing humans as a young species still learning their place in the galaxy. But Marcus had seen something the others had missed. As he approached Thirak Zul's paralyzed form, he knelt beside her massive head and looked directly into her golden eyes. There was intelligence there, desperate communication trying to break through the prison of her own flesh. "You can understand me, can't you?" Marcus whispered, keeping his voice low enough that the arguing delegates couldn't hear. Thirak Zul's eyes widened almost imperceptibly, the only movement she could manage. Marcus nodded grimly. "I've seen this before. Neural shock paralysis from quantum disruptors. We encountered similar weapons during the Martian Independence War. He paused, studying her eyes carefully. If you can understand me, blink once for yes, twice for no. One deliberate blink. Good. Do you know who was really behind this attack? Two blinks. Do you suspect it was neither the Zephyrians nor the Crystallines? One blink, accompanied by what Marcus could swear was relief in those ancient eyes. Marcus felt the familiar weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders, the same feeling he'd experienced countless times during the war when impossible decisions fell to him. Around them, the peace conference was disintegrating. Delegates were beginning to storm out, and he could see security forces from both empires preparing for the worst. "Listen to me carefully," Marcus said, his voice carrying the quiet authority of someone who had commanded troops in desperate situations. "I served as a communications officer before I became infantry. I know about neural interface technology that might help you communicate, but I need to know, can you handle some discomfort if it means saving these peace talks?" One strong blink. Marcus stood and turned to address the chaos around them. "Excuse me! Excuse me!" When that didn't work, he put two fingers to his lips and released a piercing whistle that cut through the din like a plasma blade through butter. The chamber fell silent, every eye turning to the small human standing beside the paralyzed dragon ambassador. "Ambassador Thirak Zul is still conscious and aware," Marcus announced, his voice carrying clearly in the sudden quiet. "She can communicate, and she has information about this attack that you all need to hear." General Korath snorted dismissively. "Impossible. The medical team confirmed complete neural severance." "The medical team is correct about the physical damage," Marcus replied calmly. "But they're wrong about the communication possibilities. With your permission, Ambassador Thirak Zul, I'd like to help you speak." He looked down at the dragon's golden eyes. "This will require some improvisation and probably some discomfort. But if we can re-establish communication, we can save these talks and potentially prevent the final battle that will destroy both your civilizations. Are you willing to try?" The single, determined blink was answer enough. Marcus rolled up his sleeves and began examining the portable medical equipment scattered around Thirak Zul's massive form. His mind was already working through the possibilities, drawing on knowledge gained from human conflicts and his understanding of neural interface technology. "Dr. Reeftal," he called to the Aquarian medic, "I need to borrow some of your equipment, and I need everyone else to give me 30 minutes of their time before they abandon these talks forever." Ambassador Vexitar's crystalline plates shifted to a skeptical purple hue. "You expect us to trust human technology with something this delicate? Your species has barely mastered interstellar flight." Marcus met the insectoid's compound gaze steadily. "You're right. We're new here. We don't have centuries of diplomatic experience or advanced medical technology." He gestured toward the paralyzed ambassador. "But we do have experience with improvisation under pressure and making impossible things work when everything depends on it." He knelt beside Thirak Zul again. "What do you say, Ambassador? Ready to show them what a human and a dragon can accomplish together?" One blink, and Marcus could swear he saw determination burning in those golden eyes like the fire her people were famous for. As the delegates reluctantly agreed to wait, Marcus began working with an intensity that reminded everyone present that humans had earned their place among the stars through sheer stubborn determination and an absolute refusal to accept the impossible. The clock was ticking, war fleets were mobilizing across the galaxy, and the fate of billions hung in the balance. But in that moment, a paralyzed dragon diplomat and a scarred human veteran were about to prove that sometimes the most unlikely partnerships could achieve the impossible. Marcus worked with the focused intensity of someone who had performed battlefield surgery under enemy fire. His hands moved quickly but precisely as he connected neural monitoring equipment to Thirak Zul's massive skull, improvising connections that the original designers never intended. "What exactly are you doing, human?" Dr. Reeftail asked, his blue skin flickering with nervous patterns. "This equipment wasn't designed for draconic neural structures." "That's exactly why it might work," Marcus replied, not looking up from his improvised neural interface. The quantum disruptor was designed to sever draconic neural pathways specifically. But if we bypass the damaged pathways entirely and create a new route through equipment calibrated for different species, we might be able to establish basic communication. He pulled out a small device from his personal kit, a neural link adapter that human soldiers use to interface with AI targeting systems. This is designed to read electrical impulses from human brain patterns and translate them into digital signals. The neural signatures might be different, but the basic electrical activity should be similar enough. Ambassador Vextar chittered skeptically. "Even if that ridiculous theory works, you have no way to amplify or translate draconic thought patterns into something we can understand." Marcus smiled grimly as he connected the final cable. "You're forgetting something. Dragons are telepathic with their own kind, which means their thoughts operate on psychic frequencies as well as electrical ones. And this station has universal translation matrices built into the communication systems." He activated the improvised setup, and immediately the equipment began registering electrical activity from Thiraxul's brain. The readings were chaotic at first, but gradually Marcus began to identify patterns. "It's working," Dr. Reeftail whispered, his medical scanner showing neural activity that shouldn't have been possible. "But the signal is too fragmented. Even if we can detect her thoughts, we can't understand them." "Give me a minute," Marcus muttered, adjusting the calibration. He closed his eyes and thought back to his communications training. Every species had different neural patterns, but all consciousness operated on similar basic principles. "Ambassador Thiraxul, if you can hear me, try to think in simple concepts. Yes. No, images rather than complex sentences." The neural interface crackled to life, and suddenly a weak but unmistakable voice echoed through the chamber's communication system. It was distorted and electronic, but recognizably Thiraxul's mental voice. "I can speak." The words came slowly, each one requiring tremendous effort. The diplomatic chamber erupted in amazed murmurs. General Korath's 4 eyes widened in disbelief, while Ambassador Vextar's crystalline plates shifted through a rainbow of colors indicating shock and confusion. "Ambassador," Marcus said urgently, "the peace talks are falling apart. Both sides think the other tried to assassinate you. Can you tell us who was really responsible?" There was a long pause as Thiraxul gathered her strength. When her voice came through the speakers again, it was stronger, more controlled. "Neither. Empire. Responsible. Third party. Wants war. To continue." The revelation hit the assembled delegates like a plasma storm. General Korath's thick hide flushed a deeper gray as the implications sank in. "Impossible. Who would benefit from our mutual destruction?" "Think," Thiraxul's electronically transmitted voice urged. "Who profits from endless war? Who supplies weapons to both sides?" Ambassador Vextar's plates shifted to a deep orange, indicating rapid thought processing. "The merchant cartels. They've been selling weapons to both empires throughout the conflict." "But that's just business," protested Delegate Hicksmore of the Aquarian Federation. "War profiteering is distasteful, but hardly unprecedented." Marcus felt a chill as he realized the scope of what they were dealing with. "Ambassador Thiraxul, how long have you suspected this?" "Months," came the strained reply. "Intercepted. Communications. Cartel. Planning to. Eliminate mediators. Prolong conflict. Maximum profit." "Why didn't you report this earlier?" General Korath demanded. "Needed proof. Today's attack was supposed to provide evidence. Hidden recorder in ceremonial gift." But her electronic voice faded momentarily before returning stronger. Bomb was not supposed to detonate. Someone discovered the recorder, changed the device. Marcus's mind raced as he processed the information. So the original plan was to record the cartel's involvement, but someone inside your investigation betrayed you and turned the recording device into a weapon. Yes, but recording may still exist. If gift was examined before modification. Dr. Rieftal was already moving toward the scattered remains of the ceremonial gift. His scanner swept over the debris, and after several tense minutes, he held up a small, partially melted device. "There's a data core here," he announced. "Heavily damaged, but possibly recoverable." "Can you extract the data?" Marcus asked. "Not with field equipment. We'd need a full forensics laboratory and several hours of careful work." The chamber fell silent as everyone grasped the situation. The evidence they needed existed, but time was running out. Intelligence reports indicated that both empires' battle fleets would be in position to engage within 6 hours. Once that final battle began, nothing could stop the escalation to total war. "There's another problem," General Korath rumbled. "Even if we recover this evidence, my fleet commanders are already moving into position. Without direct orders from me to stand down, they'll attack as soon as they're in range." Ambassador Vextar's plates flashed agreement. "The same is true for our forces. Our commanders have standing orders to respond to any Zephyrian aggression with overwhelming force." Marcus looked down at Thirak Zul's massive form. Despite the improvised neural interface, he could see the tremendous strain the communication was placing on her. Each word required enormous effort, and her golden eyes showed exhaustion that went beyond the physical. "Ambassador, you mentioned intercepted communications. Do you have any of that evidence with you?" "Personal data storage. Implant. But cannot access without full neural function." "What if we could enhance the neural interface?" Marcus asked, his mind already working through possibilities. "Dr. Rieftal, could we use the station's main communication array to boost the signal?" The Aquarian medic's skin patterns shifted to worried blue-green. "Theoretically possible, but extremely dangerous. The amount of electrical current required could cause permanent brain damage or death. But it would give me full access to my memory banks." Thirak Zul's voice interrupted. "I could transmit the evidence directly to all fleet commanders simultaneously." The weight of the decision settled over the chamber. They had found a possible solution, but it required risking the life of the galaxy's most respected diplomat. Marcus knelt beside Thirak Zul's head again. "Ambassador, you're talking about potentially sacrificing your life to save both empires. That's an incredible burden to take on yourself." Her golden eyes met his. And when she spoke, her electronically transmitted voice carried the weight of centuries of wisdom and responsibility. "Captain Chen, you stepped forward when no one else would help. You gave me voice again. Now, I must use that voice to prevent genocide." "There has to be another way," Marcus insisted. "Give me time to think." "No time," Thirak Zul interrupted. "Fleet movements, show engagement, in 4 hours. Enhancement. Procedure will take 2 hours. If we wait longer, too late." Around them, the delegates stood in stunned silence. The fate of trillions of beings across hundreds of worlds hung in the balance, and the decision rested with a paralyzed dragon ambassador and a human veteran who had never asked to be placed in this position. Marcus stood slowly, feeling the weight of command settling on his shoulders once again. He had made life and death decisions in battle before, but never on this scale. "If we do this," he said quietly, "I want to be the one operating the neural interface. If something goes wrong, the responsibility is mine." Thirak eyes showed something that might have been gratitude. Agreed, but Captain, if the procedure fails and I don't survive, promise me you'll continue investigating the cartels. End this corruption. Marcus nodded solemnly. I promise. As Dr. Rieftal began preparing the enhanced neural interface and the other delegates rushed to coordinate with their respective fleets, Marcus realized that he was about to participate in either the greatest diplomatic breakthrough in galactic history or its most tragic failure. Either way, there was no turning back now. The station's main communication array hummed with dangerous levels of power as Marcus made final adjustments to the enhanced neural interface. Dr. Rieftal had connected every available piece of medical monitoring equipment to Thirak massive form, while the other delegates established emergency communication links with their respective fleets. Power levels are approaching maximum safe thresholds, Dr. Rieftal warned, his blue skin flickering with anxiety patterns. Beyond this point, we risk complete neural overload. Marcus checked the readings one final time. Ambassador, are you ready? Thirak golden eyes blinked once with determined resolve. Through the basic neural interface, her voice came clearly, Initiate, enhancement, sequence. Marcus activated the power boost gradually, watching as the electrical readings spiked across every monitor. Thirak massive body trembled slightly as enormous amounts of neural energy flowed through the improvised interface. Neural pathway reconstruction beginning, Dr. Rieftal announced, monitoring the process with professional fascination mixed with terror. Her brain is adapting to the artificial connections faster than should be possible. Suddenly, Thirak voice boomed through the communication system with startling clarity and power. Integration complete. I have full access to my memory banks and can interface directly with the station's communication array. The transformation was remarkable. Where before each word had required tremendous effort, now she spoke with the full authority and wisdom that had made her the galaxy's most respected diplomat. Transmitting evidence files now, Thirak announced. All fleet commanders should be receiving data packages containing intercepted merchant cartel communications, financial records, and tactical analyses showing their manipulation of both empires. Throughout the galaxy, aboard massive warships preparing for final battle, fleet commanders suddenly found themselves staring at evidence that changed everything. The data was comprehensive and undeniable. Years of secretly manipulated conflicts, artificially prolonged wars, and carefully orchestrated incidents designed to prevent peace. General Korath's communication device chimed with an incoming message from his fleet commander. General, we've received extraordinary evidence regarding cartel involvement in this conflict. Admiral Tharks requests permission to postpone engagement pending full analysis. Similar reports came in from the Crystalline Fleet. Admiral Kextha transmitted directly to Ambassador Vextar. The evidence is overwhelming. We've been manipulated for decades. But Thirak wasn't finished. Her enhanced neural interface allowed her to access systems throughout the diplomatic station, and she had discovered something even more shocking. There's more, she announced, her voice taking on a grim tone. The merchant cartels aren't working alone. I'm detecting active communication links between cartel vessels and ships within both of your fleets. The corruption goes deeper than we suspected. The chamber erupted in shocked exclamations. General Korath's hide flushed to an angry dark gray. Impossible! My officers are loyal! Admiral Gorvak of your 2nd Battle Group has been receiving payments from cartel sources for 18 months, Thirak interrupted, accessing the station's intelligence databases with her enhanced capabilities. He was ordered to ensure that today's peace talks failed, by force if necessary. Ambassador Vextar's plates shifted to alarmed orange patterns. That explains the unauthorized weapon scans we detected earlier. Some of our own ships are compromised as well. Marcus felt the familiar adrenaline surge of a battle situation spinning out of control. How many ships in each fleet are compromised? Analyzing communication patterns and financial records now, Thyraxul replied, her enhanced mind processing vast amounts of data simultaneously. Approximately 12% of the Zephyrian fleet and 15% of the Crystalline fleet show evidence of cartel influence. The implications were staggering. Even if both main fleets stood down, the compromised vessels might continue the attack to prevent peace from taking hold. We need to identify the compromised ships and neutralize them before they can act, Marcus said, his tactical mind already working through the possibilities. Already in progress, Thyraxul confirmed. I'm transmitting identification codes and tactical recommendations to both fleet commands. But there's a complication. Admiral Gorvak's ships are already moving to attack positions. He's forcing the engagement whether his commanders want it or not. General Korath was frantically communicating with his loyal fleet elements. Admiral Tharks confirms that Gorvak's group has broken formation and is advancing on crystalline positions. He's not responding to stand-down orders. Our compromised vessels are doing the same, Ambassador Vexitar reported. Admiral Kextha reports that 3 battle groups under cartel influence are moving to engage, claiming they're responding to Zephyrian aggression. Marcus realized they were facing a new crisis. Even with the truth revealed, the corrupted elements in both fleets were about to start the very battle they had hoped to prevent. Ambassador Thyraxul, can you use the station's communication array to override their command systems? Negative. Military vessels have independent communication protocols that can't be overridden from civilian stations. But she paused, and Marcus could sense her enhanced mind working through complex calculations. There is another option. If I route all available power through the neural interface, I can project a telepathic communication directly to every dragon-descended species in both fleets. Dr. Reeftal's skin flashed warning patterns. The power requirements would be enormous. Your neural pathways are already operating at maximum safe capacity. It would likely be fatal, Thyraxul acknowledged calmly. But dragons serve with both fleets in command positions. If I can reach them telepathically with the truth, they can override the corrupted admirals and prevent the battle. Marcus felt the weight of command crushing down on him again. There has to be another way. We can't ask you to sacrifice yourself. Captain Chen. Thyraxul's voice carried the patience of centuries. You gave me the opportunity to serve my people and the galaxy one final time. This is how I choose to use that gift. Around them, the delegates stood in stunned silence as they grasped what the Dragon Ambassador was proposing. She was willing to die to save civilizations that weren't even her own. There might be a way to reduce the risk, Marcus said suddenly, an idea forming. What if we don't route all the power through your neural pathways? What if we use the neural interface as a targeting system and route the telepathic energy through the station's own communication array? Dr. Reeftal's eyes widened with understanding. Theoretically possible. Use her enhanced neural patterns as a template, then amplify and broadcast them through the station's subspace transmitters. It's untested and dangerous, Thyraxul warned. But it might work without killing me in the process. Marcus was already moving, his hands flying over the control interfaces. His communications training and battlefield experience guided him as he rerouted power systems and communication protocols in ways they were never designed to handle. Initiating telepathic broadcast in 30 seconds, he announced. Ambassador, focus your thoughts on the Dragon personnel in both fleets. Tell them the truth about the cartel manipulation and give them authority to override their corrupted admirals. Understood. Thyraxul replied, her voice taking on a deeper, more resonant quality as she prepared for the most important telepathic communication of her life. The station's lights dimmed as massive amounts of power flowed through the improvised system. Every piece of equipment strained under loads far beyond their design specifications. "Broadcasting now," Marcus announced, activating the final sequence. Across the galaxy, dragon-descended officers in both fleets suddenly heard Thiraxul's mental voice carrying the full weight of truth and authority. She showed them everything: the cartel manipulation, the evidence of corruption, and the desperate hope for peace that still existed. Commander Cyrextal aboard the Zephyrian dreadnought Thunderstrike received the telepathic message just as Admiral Gorvac ordered the fleet to open fire. Without hesitation, she activated command override protocols and transmitted stand-down orders to all vessels under her authority. On the crystalline flagship Crystal Heart, Wing Commander Jarakul did the same, countermanding the corrupted admirals and broadcasting the evidence to all loyal vessels. Within minutes, the compromised elements of both fleets found themselves isolated and outnumbered by their own allies. Rather than face overwhelming odds in a battle they couldn't win, the corrupted admirals surrendered. Back on the diplomatic station, the improvised neural interface finally overloaded and shut down. Marcus caught Thiraxul's massive head as she collapsed from exhaustion. "Ambassador, are you all right?" Her golden eyes opened slowly, and when she spoke, it was with her own natural voice, weak but unfiltered by electronics. "The neural pathways are regenerating. The electrical stimulation somehow triggered natural healing processes." Dr. Rieftal's scanner confirmed the impossible. "The quantum disruption damage is reversing itself. Your neural connections are rebuilding." As Thiraxul slowly regained control of her body, reports poured in from across the galaxy. Both fleets were standing down, the corrupted elements were in custody, and merchant cartel facilities were being raided simultaneously by joint Zephyrian crystalline task forces. General Korath approached Marcus with something approaching wonder in his 4 eyes. "Captain Chen, your species has been part of galactic civilization for less than 50 years. How did you know that neural stimulation could reverse quantum disruption damage?" Marcus helped support Thiraxul as she slowly sat upright, her massive form still weak but recovering. "Honestly, I didn't. I was improvising based on human medical techniques and hoping for the best. Sometimes that's all you can do." Ambassador Vextar's crystalline plates shifted to respectful gold patterns. "You risked everything on an unproven theory to help someone you barely knew." "That's what humans do," Thiraxul said, her voice growing stronger with each word. "We've been watching your species for decades, Captain. You have a unique gift, the ability to see solutions where others see only problems, and the courage to act when action seems impossible." 3 months later, the Treaty of Kepler Station was signed by representatives of both empires, with Thiraxul presiding as mediator and Marcus Chen serving as the first human diplomatic observer. The merchant cartels were disbanded, their assets redistributed to help rebuild worlds damaged by the war. Marcus stood on the observation deck, watching ships from both former enemy fleets working together to establish joint patrol zones. The sight still amazed him. Former enemies becoming allies through nothing more than truth and the willingness to take impossible risks. "Regrets, Captain?" Thiraxul asked, approaching on silent feet. Her recovery had been complete, and she moved with all her former grace and power. "None," Marcus replied honestly, "though I never expected to become a diplomat when I joined the service." "The galaxy needs more diplomats like you," she said, with what might have been a draconic smile. "People who understand that sometimes the most important battles are fought not with weapons, but with compassion and determination." As the two unlikely friends watched the beginnings of a new era of peace, Marcus reflected on the strange turns life could take. He had come to the station as an observer, but he was leaving as something far more important. Proof that sometimes the smallest actions could change the fate of civilizations. The paralyzed dragon diplomat had pleaded for help, and a human veteran had stepped forward. Together, they had accomplished the impossible and given the galaxy hope for a peaceful future.